Today let's look at the Clare, Drumcliff Round Tower near Ennis, and we're looking all around the county at locations where things have been built over the centuries to align with this tower. Drumcliff is located a few kilometres just north of Ennis. The tower would have originally looked like this, approximately 13 metres tall, the doorway 3 or 4 metres above ground level, cone-shaped roof with an angle similar to the pyramids and obelisks, and probably a 3-degree or so taper on the rising walls. However, most of it's fallen down, and what we're left with is this. Here's a view of it at the top of the hill in the old cemetery. In looking at what's been built to align with this location, our first stop is going to be Ballyella House, about 2.5 kilometres away to the northeast. Here's a satellite view of the house, gardens and outbuildings at Ballyella. If we go back to Drumcliff, take a line from the round tower out to Ballyella, we find that, as per the yellow line there, that the gardens, house, outbuildings and everything at Ballyella has been built with reference to the location of the tower. This is the same as what we find at Vandeleur House and Gardens at Kilrush. Everything there has been built with reference to the location of the Scattery Island Round Tower, about 4 kilometres away from there. The next location is Donegal Castle near Doolin. Now, taking a line away from Drumcliff, we find that we arrive at Donegal and we are in line with the southern wall of the enclosure. Now, this is only one of the interesting alignments at Donegal. As per this next image, there are at least 10 alignments there which take us to other important locations, other significant historic sites in the region. Our next stop is in Kilnamona, about 6 kilometres west of Drumcliff, and what was the parochial house in Kilnamona. Now, this is consisting of 3 buildings and a yard, an enclosure in the middle. And as we can see, if we take lines directly from Drumcliff, we see that the 3 lines of ridge tiles align perfectly with the round tower. So the 3 ridge tiles are not parallel. The lines converge on Drumcliff. And furthermore, if we were to take a 90-degree angle from the centre line, go 5 kilometres north, we arrive at the location of the round tower in Raths near Corofin. Now, the tower in Rath is not any longer existing. It was demolished a long time ago. The stone was used to build the church in the cemetery there. This double alignment, if you like, suggests that the location and the alignment of this house was selected with respect to both of those locations, to align with both of those locations. The buildings here date from the late 1700s, maybe early 1800s. Very high quality stonework, and we also see the octagonal chimney pots, which we see at a number of other locations. The octagonal geometry is one of the common features of a lot of the architecture of this time. And if you drill into the metaphysics and the quantum mechanics, then there are real practical reasons for this. The next stop is in East Clare, a short distance from Tulla. This is Kiltannon House. Kiltannon is one of a number of large old country estates in the area, all with interesting alignments, but let's just look at the alignment away to the west from Kiltannon, looking in the direction of Drumcliff. we see that the buildings here were also in perfect alignment. Next one is at Newmarket and Fergus, near Roseville, just on the side of Newmarket and Fergus. It's a 17th, 18th century stone construction. Interesting chimney pots is a common theme. And looking at the satellite image, it aligns perfectly with Drumcliff. Next one is not too far away from there, near Napogue Castle, just outside of Quin. It's an old stone and brick cottage, again with the octagonal chimney pots, and looking at the alignment, it also is perfect. Next we go to Kilmacdua, just west of Gort. Now Kilmacdua is a cluster of sites. There's a round tower obviously, and a number of monastic buildings. Taking a line there from Drumcliff, we see that the boundary of one of their enclosures aligns perfectly. Now this is a common theme. There are many locations where the boundary walls of churches and cemeteries are quite conspicuously aligned with other sites. At Kilmacdua, similar to other sites, every building and every boundary wall aligns with something similar at another location. We see this nearby at Blakemount, where we have an old country churchyard and cemetery, and again one of the boundary walls aligns perfectly with the tower in Drumcliff. Next one we look at is Rosslevin House, just on the other side of Ennis from Drumcliff. Now here we have the ruins of the old house, which would have been burnt in the 1920s, and we see also there's a couple of acres of a walled garden. Now the garden doesn't align with Drumcliff, but the house aligns perfectly. Now here's a map of our alignments so far. Let's have a look at a few more. A short distance away from Drummulland, beside Latoon Bridge on the old Ennis Limerick Road, there's a farmhouse and yard and buildings. Looking at the alignment, we see that it too was built to align with Drumcliff. There are a number of other similar properties quite nearby this one, which align with each other and with other locations, but this one is the odd one out in that its alignment is with Drumcliff. Now we could go all around County Clare doing this, but let's just look at one more. This is Craig House. It's about halfway between Crusheen and Gort. A typical old country estate. Here's the gate lodge, and here's some of the buildings in the complex. Looking at the Google Earth image, it appears that the original buildings and the yard did align with Drumcliff. There have been other buildings added later that don't, but the original layout appears to align. Now let's go back to Drumcliff again and look at one final issue. The yellow lines are all the alignments we have looked at so far. The blue line is the line coming away along the ridge tile of the church. Now, following that line away to the west, that takes us to Miltown Malbay, takes us to the spire of the church in Miltown Malbay, which is also the focal point of a number of local alignments from old buildings in the area. There's the street view of the church, and looking at the spire again, we see that the octagonal geometry is there again.